ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula says he met with the US ambassador to South Africa. This with the aim of engaging him on the concerns he raised in relation to the ANC resolution that was adopted at its conference last year on international relations. The US has also raised concern about the non-aligned stance of the South African government on the war in Ukraine. Well, SABC News' international editor Sophie Mokoena asked Mbalula if the party's response was accepted by the US ambassador.
We made him understand we'll still engage. He's got a different view. Our view is ideological. So we are happy to take him on that particular point. He will be part of our IR. I think they have invited him next week to engage with him. We have explained to him that it's a resolution, and as a result, it doesn't arise now. It is really about progressive internationalism, what the ANC stands for. And in that evolution of progressive internationalism, we understand the world that today is not a happy family of nations, and that is ever changing. And so in this particular regard, we say this is where we are going. America may disagree with our assertion, but their actions have said something different in terms of their interventions on different political situations in the world. We don't believe in interference, for instance, and undermining the sovereignty of other nations. We believe that we must respect sovereignty and territorial integrity of states. I mean, we don't leave our country and go and tell people how they must behave. We talk to them through diplomatic channels. So what we have suffered here, which is a direct demonstration of the manifestation of this Wolf's doctrine, is for us to be told that we either toe this line or otherwise we are on the other side. If you remember, it's not only Wolf's. I mean, even Bush put it explicitly. You are with us or against us, and characterize the world in between. The axis of evil and the world that, on the other hand, which is the axis of evil against them. And then if you are part of that axis, then you are inviting wrath of the United States and its allies against you. So it's not something new. It's just been amplified. But the doctrine remains. And it is not just said, it is acted upon. If you look at interventions that have happened, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and so on. So that's it.
This tension led to a situation where the currency was affected, and also there are fears that in relation to the AGOA, the agreement that has assisted South Africa to tap into the US market is now threatened. How do you respond to that? Did you look at that as the ANC, or are you going to look at that?
Government has taken steps, including sending an envoy to the United States of America to clarify the South African government stance. Let me say this. The United States government have not only been hostile, have aided the prolongation of apartheid in our country. Post-1994, that changed in terms of the American foreign policy against South Africa. But you must understand that within the United States of America, when you talk about party-to-party relations, it does not necessarily translate to a point where citizens of that country, all of them support the US to go to war, to do all of these things. It's a state doctrine that is driven by a government. And in this particular instance, when it comes to us as a country, trade relations have changed and have been enhanced between the two countries. And it is important that South Africa, in terms of diplomatic channels, must explain where we come from on the issue of non-partisanship in terms of Russia, and the fact that we refuse to actually take sides in that regard. And we believe that all the parties can find each other around the table and ceasefire. Because that war that is going on and raging on has impacted negatively globally and affected us adversely, we in the South. Cost of living, fuel, fertilizers, and all of those things have actually affected our economy. So it is important that we need to pursue this dialogue and engagement through diplomatic channels to clarify to them that there is a dichotomy in terms of how our government view things and in relation to its relationship with the United States government. So we did not even venture into that with the ambassador, because we think that as a representative of the state of America in our country, he must pursue those matters with our government. So in terms of our organization, the ANC, we will engage with him to clarify, for his sake, where we come from in terms of this particular question. And that is it, because I don't see us agreeing to an equitable and a just world and free from unilateralism and embracing multilateralism as the key tenet of our approach going forward. I don't see us agreeing that unilateralism lead to interference with nation states and regime change. It has affected us here, right in Zimbabwe. We are sitting with economic sanctions from America, and yet Zimbabwe is threatening to become a client state to South Africa and a state that is collapsing around us. So because they wouldn't be happy unless if the person that they want becomes a leader in that part of the country.
You also met the Russian Federation diplomat. You have a good relationship. Why was there a necessity to also engage the Russians?
We don't engage our partners because there is a crisis. We engage them to make them aware and to share issues of importance politically and otherwise between us in relation to what is happening in their country, and the view that we share as the ANC, that we believe that negotiations and ceasefire is very important to achieve what needs to be achieved in terms of that conflict.
On the warrant of arrest issued by the International Criminal Court for President Vladimir Putin, are you going to continue to monitor this issue?
Government have told the ANC that they are dealing with that particular matter, and we as the ANC, we have said that the Roman statutes must be domesticated in relation to Section 98, which deals with the waiver of immunity for individuals of significance and particular importance like presidents. President on that particular issue withdraw it from the United Kingdom. So no head of state there will be, because the Roman statutes are domesticated. So we have given our legislators to immediately start with that process. By the time we meet in June, we'll get the feedback. Now, that will not translate to President Putin coming to South Africa, because you know from the president, coming to South Africa as a result of that, it might take some time and so on. But given the fact that we are now faced with this challenge from time to time, how do we deal with it? Government is dealing with that matter, and they deal with it from the point of view of the law and the rule of law, and at the same time South Africa standing in terms of the Roman statutes and the ICC. So we are signatories. Last time we brought a president here, we were taken to court and there was a judgment against government. And so as much as we as the ANC would like President Putin to come to our country. But in terms of government and the rule of law of South Africa in relation to ICC, it might be a different ball game altogether, and we wouldn't encourage our government to break the law.